Yeah.
Hey? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
See you later, mate.
Yeah. Sorry about that, and hello everybody, and welcome back to another PVYZ Racing League, race. Today is Mexico City, and yeah, very much looking forward to it. But yeah, as we're almost ready to get underway for the single 18-minute session of qualifying, and then for 50% 36 lap race around Mexico City. But let me just get the stream link going in the Discord, and oh wait. Right. Let's right. Here we go. As we are getting things underway here, as the lobby is readying up, just waiting for one more Nedzo to, I believe, just boot up his stream from his point of view, and yeah, then we'll be good to go. But I'm very looking forward to this one, as a lot of the drivers have good pace around here. I do know that much. I know Hellfire is the obvious one, obvious big shout to win the race. As always, good shout to win the race, as he's got mega pace wherever he goes, whatever track he races on. But we'll see. We'll see, because qualifying obviously decides the grid for the start of the race. And although some may say that's not that important because there is 36 laps of racing, that is true. Anything can happen in 36 laps, but the start can ruin or make a race for anyone. Especially going down into Turn 1. As we see a few flags being waved here in the little stand above the pit boxes. Got the European and the Finnish flag, Mexican flags. Everyone's here, all around the world, to watch this one. of course, as we're getting our first few drivers getting ready to set their first laps. Looks like most is coming out. As we got Nedzo first on the outlap, shortly followed by Elbe, then Iceman and Hellfire right behind him. Although this qualifying will be an interesting one. If I had to make predictions, it would be these two right here. Want to take pole. I think Hellfire is more likely to take pole position, but I also know that Iceman has got very quick pace, just in general also. And so does people like Parkster and Beastman as well. All got good amounts of pace, especially here in this track. I know Beastman does have a lot of pace around here. Yeah, as getting things going, as Hellfire very eagerly to start his first flying lap. He's one the latest to come out of the pits. One the first to start his lap. Here we go. We'll go on board with him for his first flyer, as it's a very long run down into the turn one, where it's like a three-way chicane, right, left, right, and now onto the second DRS straight, but not the last in the lap here on Mexico. As there is another one later on in the lap in the end of sector 2. As now we get to double apex right-hander, double right-hander apex, and now a quite complicated part of the track. Lots of lefts and rights and lefts and rights. The tyre wear will possibly be a factor going through all these high-speed corners at such, you know, an aggressive sort of way. Left, right, left, right, left, right. No real lift off of the pedal even, let alone breaking through that section. But as now Hellfire comes across the line, no, he goes into the pits. He goes straight back into the pits as Elbe then, the provisional pole. Nedzo behind him by about 5/10. As now Iceman crosses the line to go P1 provisionally by about a tenth or so, setting a very strong 1:16.1. As now the other Williams set purple first sector going through there, as Parkster now tops the times. 1:15.7, very strong time from him there. As now, like I said, we are on board with the other Williams in Beastman. Running through sector 2. Not a purple sector 2, but it was a purple sector 1 for him. And now rounding out the final corner to go and set a very strong time, putting him at the top of the second row, just ahead of Elbe, and about less than half a tenth slower than his teammate. About 2/200ths separate them, 2.5, call it. But yeah, it's a very strong opening laps from especially these three, and Parkster especially, as he's found himself about a 4/10 gap back to P2. But obviously, as we saw earlier, Hellfire came into the pit lane just before setting his lap, so we're going to have to see what he can do next time if he actually sets a lap. And also F1 Alexter as well. We haven't seen set a lap yet. There's now on board Beastman going on his in lap. Was he going for another lap? He's going for another lap. He's got 100% battery charge. He's going for another one. Another very quick flying lap right after his last. A long run down turn 1. Very aggressive turn in there. And yeah, tyre wear will most definitely be a factor in this one. With all the aggressive lefts and rights non-stop pretty much around here. This track. A chicane everywhere you look. Now a double apex right. Double right there. Now as we get into the kind of like S's sections, the left right. Bit of a straight then left right. Oh, there's a bit of a moment there for Beastman on his lap. I think he will abort that one. He just can't seem to get much grip through that section of the track. I think we saw he was a little bit slippery on his last lap as well. Maybe it's something to do with his setup. Hopefully he can find the confidence in the car and in his setup to just master it through that section for him. As parked, so now bit of an unsafe release comes right out next to Beastman there. But Ghost Cars is on in the pit lane, obviously, so no damage done there. There's now F1 Alex is on his outlap. He is yet to set a time along with Hellfire. As I think we'll ride on board with him as he sets his first time to put on the board. Here we go. As he's starting his first flyer with 9 minutes to go in the session. He's a bit squiggly on this outlet, and he goes quite wide there for turn 1 and the exit even. But he picks it back up, now down to the second out of 3 DRS straights on this track. Let's hope he can master the apex of this corner. That was a very well done, as he still sets a purple sector 1 though, although it looked like he did go a bit wide, but still, as on the little map, track map showing the bottom right, it did show up that he went purple through the first sector. Good enough for him, and unlike Beastman, he can find the grip through here. Now the final DRS straight, going in to this tight sector 3, the stadium section. As now he's rounding the final corner. Of what time does he put on the board? It is a 1:17.9. That will be back the grid for now. But I think he can find a lot of places to improve there. As Albert moves up into P2 for the time being. So it's a 1:16 flat, pretty much. Give or take 8 thousandths. Very strong lap from him, but still about 2.5 tenths behind Parkster, who is in P1, and Hellfire with 7 minutes to go in the session, still yet to set a time. Will he decide? Because I think obviously he's a very quick driver. Does he believe that? And Parkster, what a lap from Parkster, 15.4. Goes even quicker by about 3 tenths there. But yeah, as I was saying, Iceman, I can't catch a break here. As Iceman has gone into P2, only two tenths, maybe 1.5 behind Parkster in P1. As that is a very strong lap. Also, is anyone else on flying laps we have to worry about before I continue with my sentences? I think we are good for the time being, but as I was saying, Hellfire is a very quick. Oh, Nedzo is spun round, and his wheels came off. He's retired from this qualifying session, as he didn't get a lot of grip coming out of that final corner through the S section, as he collides with the wall, and his wheel does not stay intact with the car. So that's the best he'll get, is P5 in this session, unless Alex can improve and a Hellfire sets a lap. That's very unfortunate for him there. There's just not a lot of grip on the exit. Any little mistake and your wheel can just go like that. You can be out of the race, out of the qualifying session, just like that. But luckily for Nedzo, he will be in the Grand Prix, just starting from a maximum of P5, no higher, as he will not be able to improve, as his car is in no capable condition to continue. As now Beastman is on his outlap. But yeah, so it's an interesting one with Hellfire. Does he decide? Obviously, he's one of the quicker drivers in this league, maybe the quickest by quite some margin. So does he decide that he will try to do a last to first challenge, as he's got very quick pace, especially in qualifying. For although these other drivers are quick too, so I don't know. It was way easier said than done. But can Hellfire get it done if he decides to do that? I guess we'll have to wait and see. As now we're on board with Beastman, who's starting possibly his final flying lap of this qualifying session, as there's only 4.5 minutes left. He might get a chance to squeeze in one more, as he can improve. We know he can, but it's just a matter of whether he can find the grip coming out of the rear end of that sector 2, as he does set purple first sector. Very strong sector there from Beastman, as a purple first, and his lap time has been invalidated. Oh no, he's gone slightly too wide on the track limits there. Very strict on him. Didn't look too bad from the onboard, but I guess the marshal said no to that one, as he's recharging. I'm guessing he's going to go again. If he does, we will stay on board with him. I think this will be definitely his last qualifying session now, as there's only 3.5 minutes left of the session. But no, he goes into the pits. We need to get on a new set of softs to go again. But oh no, Hellfire is on an outlap. He's left it very late to set his first time in this session. We'll see what he can do though, as we go on board with him now. Starting it is maybe one and only lap of this qualifying session. He's going very wide in the entry to get a very good exit, hitting the all 3 apex there, but for the only 3 corners of this first sector, as he's also set a purple first sector. Yeah, and it looks like the track does seem to be improving, as everyone is setting purple first sectors, especially in the first sector, all going purple. I saw Alex there earlier, Beastman just now, before he backed out, before his lap got invalidated, and Hellfire 2 on this lap. Hellfire is also set a purple sector 2 though, because this is looking to be a very strong lap, as kindly the Williams of Iceman gets out of the way, as Hellfire, he backs out on his lap. A 1:19.9 obviously can go way quicker than that. Maybe he wants to start from the back of the grid though. Maybe he wants to do the last of first challenge, as we are here with Iceman on his final flying lap of qualifying. He's gone a 10th quicker. Good improvement. Already in the first sector. He only needs 2/10 to get ahead of Parkster, although Parkster is on a lap himself. Looking very quick through there, as he's down on his time though. Going into the third sector, he's down by almost a 10th on his time, as Iceman is up by 2, as Parkster has now got his lap invalidated. Oh no, that is unfortunate for him, as now Iceman rounds the final corner. Can he go quicker than Parkster? Provisional pole? Oh no, what happened through that third and final sector? What happened? He lost all the time. That is very unfortunate for him there, as now Elbe is rounding out the final corner to put his car stays in P3. Sorry for that. As now we're on board with Beastman. Can he keep it nice and tidy through here? Yes, he does this time. No oversteer causing him to lose the cars. Now we're going into sector 3. Very nice line through there and through here. He's very neat through this last sector, is Beastman, and now he's rounding out the final corner. Can he get onto that front row? Maybe even pole position. As he crosses the line, he's on the front row. He beats out his teammate, as he loses out to pole position by about 8 milliseconds. It's very unfortunate for him there, as I think the Parkster has now got pole position in this one, with Beastman just right behind him. But now Alexer is improving on his time. Coming out of the final corner, can he move that Red Bull up any positions? Can he? No, he stays P6, I believe. Yeah, stays P6, but that is not dead last, because Hellfire decided to back out on his lap, meaning he'll start from last. And look at that, would you? 8 thousandths of a second separating the top 2, a 10th separating the top 3, and the top 4 separated by only 3/10. What a qualifying session that was, especially if your name is Parkster, putting that McLaren on pole position. But is that the best place to be starting here? As there is a very long straight down into turn 1, and that slipstream the Beastman will most likely have from Parkster could slingshot his way up into P1. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. As now I'm just waiting for connection, and then I believe I'll do one formation lap, one lap to get the car and the tyres prepared to warm up their selected tyre, and then we'll get going for the 36 lap race. here at Mexico City. But yeah, very strong qualifying from the two Williams in second and third. And obviously Parkster, who did qualify first. But I think the interesting one, the one to look out for today, will be Hellfire starting from last. What can he do starting from last position in this race? But I guess we'll have to wait and see. So again, we have a look at the fans up in the stands above the pit boxes. Let's see what flags we can point out. Got the European one, Finnish flag, Mexican flag, Polish flag. It looks down there. Another Polish flag. Well, it looks like the Williams are favoured for this race, as one of the drivers are Finnish and the other one is Polish. So I guess we are Team Williams for today then, are we, crowd? Team Williams? Looks like it. Can they pull it off? Can they get the victory? Even better, can they get a 1-2? That would be absolutely perfect for the two Williams in Iceman and Beastman. Although Beastman starting ahead of Iceman in P2. So, as we recall the grid, as we're waiting for the drivers, if I can remember, I believe we've got Parkster P1, Beastman P2, Iceman P3, Elbe P4, Nedso P5, Alex the P6. As we're getting underway, the 5 red lights are up. And now the 5 red lights are out. As we get going, the Parkster gets a really good start, so does Beastman. Beastman gets what a launch Beastman got there. Getting underway. Beastman in that Williams sends it up the inside, as so does Alexa, and there's been a collision between Beastman and Alexa. As it's very unfortunate for Beastman, as he did get a great start. He's got his car into P1, going into turn 1, but then Alexa was a bit late on the brakes and sent it a bit too far down the inside, collecting Beastman as well. Very unfortunate for Beastman there, as that might possibly well be a penalty for Alexa there, as Parkster, starting from P1, has dropped down all the way to P5. As now Parkster has got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. As is not a very good start from Parkster or Beastman, but Nedso and Iceman are going at it for this P1 spot, as Elbear has also moved his way up into P2. As Hellfire has already moved his way up into P3, starting from last in this Grand Prix. Already found himself into P2. As what can they do here, as they're going 2 wide and 3 wide just behind, as Hellfire moves that Sauber up into P1, starting a second lap, as now Parkster has dropped onto P6. What has happened to Parkster here in the start of this Grand Prix? Starting from P1, of course. I don't know if he's having problems with that McLaren. Is the setup not right? But he's just been falling back. He just fell back a long way. Very long way there. And he's got that penalty, of course, as well. As we look at the possible race strategy, either the 1-stop medium to hard, or vice versa, or the possible 2-stop, which is hard mediums. is a very interesting strategy indeed. I wonder which strategy these drivers chose, as now Hellfire is now back down into P3. Elbe is now your new race leader, as Nedzo, what an exit he's got, and what an exit Hellfire's got as well, as they're going 3 wide. Now 2 wide, as Hellfire and Nedzo's got that DRS, getting the pace advantage down the straight. As Elbe has now got a penalty, but that he was unfairly pushed off. He wasn't given enough room by Nedzo, in my opinion, and that is very unfortunate for him to get that penalty. Maybe he could possibly appeal that one in the FIA room after the race, but as now Iceman has dropped down to P5, starting from P3 as well. As Beastman, though, with that very unfortunate start from Alex to kind of sending it a bit late there, collecting him. He's done a very good job to bring that Williams back up into P3. It goes a bit wide there on exit, letting Parkster have a better exit going down the inside, going into sector 3, but Parkster now goes wide. As now Iceman goes round the outside of Beastman there, as the 2 Williams switches places. As Hellfire is now back out into the lead. He's now got a 2-second advantage over Nedzo in P2. That gap is coming down though, as Nedzo is using his ERS. He used pretty much all of it compared to Hellfire, who has used none of it, really. No, he hasn't. He's charged it all back up. As we look at the battery status of everybody, Hellfire on 96%, pretty much full. Nedzo on 20, Parkster on 10, Iceman, everyone pretty much using their battery apart from Beastman and Hellfire here. Hellfire is on 100%, Beastman is on 80%. As yeah, that also plays a big part in this Grand Prix. Your ERS deployment, as it is very long stretch down into turn 1, as now Beastman gets his first time penalty, as Elbe kind of forces his way down the inside, but he gives the place back as he gets a second time penalty in this race so far. Only 5 laps in. As we look through the grid order, we got Hellfire followed by Nedzo, then Parkster, who's got the DRS, and so does Iceman. Can they do anything? As Parkster looks down the inside, but nothing doing there. As Parkster's in P3, Iceman P4, Elbe P5 with 6 seconds with a time penalty. Then Beastman in P6, and then Alexter in plumb last, P7. As he, I believe, had wing damage because of that incident going into turn 1, lap 1. Let's have a look. And yeah, I believe that front end plate is missing, looking from the up above camera. And yeah, it is, as now he gets another, well, not another, he gets his first time penalty, as it is another one in this race. 5th time penalty given out in this race to all the drivers combined. There's very strict track limits around here in Mexico City, the FIA having none of it. As you have to keep one wheel within the white lines at least at all times. As now Alexter comes into the pits to change that front wing, I believe. Otherwise it'd be a very early stop for no reason. As yes, they're getting that wing ready for him there, as he changes from those mediums to the hard compound tyre. As now that wing has been replaced, and away we go, as now Iceman unfortunately gets a time penalty. And there's contact between Nedzo and Parkster, as there is big contact. There's no damage doing, as Iceman, what a switchback gaining 2 positions, moving up into P2. What a move there by Iceman, getting the place done on Parkster and Nedzo, who's pushed each other wide at the chicane. And Iceman says thank you very much, moves up into P2. And what a move that was. But now he'll be the head of the DRS train, unless Parkster dives down the inside. Can he keep that position? And oh, it's a bit of touching and banging wheels there between Parkster and Iceman. Who will get the DRS? Because they both look very close to each other. Who does going through the detection zone? Do either of them get DRS? Do none of them get DRS? None of them have got DRS there. It's very unfortunate for them, as now Nedzo is going to lead this race because Hellfire has come into the pit. He's now pitted for those hard compound tyres. And it was a very strong first stint there, though it didn't last very long. But yeah, it was a very strong first stint. Moving at least 5 seconds ahead of everyone else as he came into the pits. It's now Ned, so that was a big train. 4-way battle for the lead as our Parkster goes deep there, going for that move. But Nedzo keeps the position. And now they're going too wide is Iceman and Parkster through these little S's section. And as they're battling, can that allow Beastman, who is just outside the DRS zone, to catch up? Yeah, he's now within that 1 second of those cars in front. As Elbe seems to run a little bit wide there. Has now gone on to lap 7. Has Iceman. Iceman's got himself another penalty, but he's also got wing damage. As now Parkster pits. Iceman got wing damage, which is very unfortunate for him there. Though he's got DRS, but he's got no battery left on this straight, where Elbe does. He decides not to go for the move there as Hellfire. You could see him in the distance as all the drivers were coming through into turn 1 there. He is hunting them down. Will he massively undercut the rest of the pack there? As maybe that's why Parkster have gone a bit early to cover off that undercut, although he is already 13 seconds behind Hellfire. 13 and a half seconds behind Hellfire. Now, who is the provisional leader? As him, Parkster and Alex are the only ones that have stopped in this race. As far. But the lead, the physical lead now, stands as Nedzo, disincluding penalties, is Nedzo, Iceman, Elbe, Beastman, who's found himself trailing the back of the DRS pack there. He still does have DRS. And then Hellfire, Parkster, Alex, Hellfire's already pretty much caught right up to the back of that pack there. Only within 2 seconds behind this little DRS train here. That's now Nedzo pulling away from Iceman and Elbe here, who's second and third. He's trying his hardest to get outside of that DRS zone, so then it'll be easier for him to pull away on the next lap. Whereas Iceman has gained a few tenths, so he's now only half a second behind Nedzo, so I don't think he'll get outside, or Nedzo will get Iceman outside of the DRS for this straight. No, he won't, as he does get the DRS open. Does he go for the move down the inside? No, he stays behind. He's a little bit too far back on that occasion. Now Hellfire is within the DRS of everyone else, and he's overtaken Beastman. What a performance here from Hellfire, as he's pitted, but the rest of these haven't quite yet. He's flying on those hard compound tyres, absolutely flying. He's had to use all of his ERS though to get in this position. So, but the others around him are also on similar battery. So it doesn't look like he's in much of a debt, an ERS debt there, as he now moves up into P2. But Iceman goes for the move down the inside as there is contact made. And so Albert looks around the outside of Hellfire there. But nothing doing there. As Iceman keeps that P2, which is crucial for track position. And crucial for Nedzo as well. As now Hellfire, although he's overtaken Iceman, he will not get the advantage of DRS going down this next straight, I don't believe, unless he can quickly sneak into the DRS range. And no, I don't think he does. He doesn't get in there quite in enough time. As now he's within a second, but that's past the detection point. Going through it, he was over a second, so he won't get the DRS. But everyone else does get the DRS behind Hellfire, although Hellfire is now right all over the back of that Haas. As now he goes for a move around the outside and switches down the inside. As now he tries to go round the outside and he's getting pushed off by Nedzo. His contacts, there's a lot of contact between these two drivers. He's getting pushed off again. As these drivers are not playing around this Mexico City race. Not playing around in this Grand Prix. As Nenzos are looking a little bit slidey through that section there. As now Hellfire has been pushed off again. And now Nedzo goes round the outside to keep that move. Keep that first place, and it's allowed the rest of the grid to catch right back up. As now starting lap 11. Nedzo has really backed up Hellfire there. There's all that very harsh defending. But now he goes down the inside with the DRS. As he's made that move stick. As now Beastman has come into the pits for a fresh set of hard compound tyres. And because of all that battling, it's allowed Parkster to slowly catch his way back up. And now he's only 9 seconds behind the pack. As now can Nedzo stay within inside 1 second of Hellfire? I don't think he can. It's very unfortunate for him there. As now we look at the tyre life, the rest of the drivers, as Iceman gets another 3 second with time penalty. As yeah, Hellfire have got 6 laps of tyre advantage over everyone else that's following in the train behind them. But apart from that, obviously Beastman just came into the pits this lap, and Parkster 4 laps ago. He came into the pits for those hard compound tyres. As now Iceman looks to go down the inside, but nothing doing there. Can he get Nedzo on the second DRS straight? Which you don't need a detection zone for this one. It's the same as the last straight, the beginning straight. If you're within the DRS range for the main straight, you also get DRS on the second straight as well. As now Iceman with 9 seconds with the time penalty in this race, only 13 laps in, more than anyone. As Albert and Alex are a close second with 6 seconds with the time penalty. But Nedzo and Hellfire still yet to get time penalties in this race, which will be crucial for them. As yes, Iceman and Elbe are all over the back of that Haas, still following very closely in that DRS trade. But essentially, technically, Nedzo is currently 9 seconds ahead of Iceman here, as Iceman has 9 seconds with the time penalties. Elbe is now into the pits, getting rid of those hard compound tyres, put on a fresh set of mediums 14 laps into this Grand Prix. As now it looks like the undercut is very strong here at Mexico. But now Iceman has appeared to just drop outside for that 1 second, but he's gained it back. He's now within the 1 second, 8/10 now. He's doing very well with that front left end plate missing on his front wing there. Doing very well to keep his pace going how it is so far. As now there is a yellow flag in the first sector, and is that Alexa going slowly? Yes, it was, but it looks like that has been cleared up before we can have a look of what happened. Maybe he spun round on exit of corner, maybe too much oversteer, maybe gone wide. I don't quite know, we just missed it. Oh no, Iceman will get the DRS again going on to this main straight, but Nedzo is using quite a bit of his battery. As now Iceman is 1.5 seconds behind. Nedzo must have used a lot of his battery there. Yeah, the battery comparison, Iceman have got 70% pretty much, and Nedzo only 30%. As Hellfire's battery is completely full. He's managed to recharge that and keep up the pace. Good job from him there. He's now 7 seconds ahead of Nedzo in P2. Iceman then follows a second behind him. Parkster pretty much 2 seconds behind Iceman. Beastman 12 seconds behind Parkster. Elbe 6 seconds behind Beastman in P6. And then, last but not least, Alexa in P7, 5 seconds behind Elbe. But Iceman and I believe, yeah, Iceman and Nedzo are still yet to stop in this Grand Prix. So it looks like if they were to pit now, which Iceman does, he would drop in between Elbe and Alexa, as Alexa gets another time penalty. He's now racked his penalty streak up to 12 seconds. It's quite unfortunate for him there. As now F1 Alexa gets 10 seconds worth of time penalty. What was that for? I missed the message up at the top of the screen. Did he deliberately cut a corner? Because it wasn't speeding in the pit lane. As you know, you get 10 seconds for that. What else could it have been then? As now he DNFs. He's hit the wall and his wheel has came clean off there. That was a hefty impact as the safety cars now came out. So that is quite unfortunate timing for Iceland there. As Iceland just done his pit stop and now he's last in this race. But it will give him chance to catch back up to the rest of the pack on those fresh hards. So it's not all too bad for him. Yeah, it's quite fortunate as now Hellfire pretty much gets a free stop because Nedzo and Parkster behind him are 13 seconds back at least, as they both pit anyway. Now Hellfire comes out of the pits for what I to believe fresh mediums indeed. As now Beastman though, he carries on. as he'd rather track position, getting up into P2, overtaking Nedzo and Parkster. So Beastman has done well to get that Williams back into P2. As now Iceman overtakes LB. That was very unfortunate time for a safety car there for Iceman. He's now dropped back down to P5. But we expected him to be there or thereabout anyway after he came out of the pits. As he pretty much was. He was behind Albert coming up the pitch. So the safety car has helped him catch back up to the rest of the pack and gain a position on the pack on Albert as well. As now the safety car is collecting the pack. Pretty much almost halfway through this Grand Prix. Your grid is as follows. Behind the safety car, it is Hellfire in P1. Very strong race from him so far, starting from the back of the grid. Managing to get up into P1 since lap 2. But he hasn't stayed there though, as he did pit first out of everyone else. Apart from Alex, though, who's now out of this race, unfortunately for him. He's managed to get his way back into P1 again. Does Hellfire, and then Beastman in P2 with an unfortunate start, very unfortunate start, as he got a great start off the line, as he was first going into turn 1, but then Alexter just broke a little bit too late, and then he smashed inside. No, he's going down the inside. He smashed into the side of Beastman, collecting him. But he's done well. He's done very well to get that Williams back up into P2. As now Nedzo's P3, followed by Parkster in P4, who did start in pole position. An unfortunate start for him. Quite unlucky. Bit of a slow start off the line as well. Can he get back up into P1 or into those top paying points, as now he's in the midfield of the pack at the minute, as the safety car is in this lap. They have Iceman down in P5 and Albert rounds out the grid, who are still racing, as Alex DNF'd, causing the safety car. And now as the safety car rides into the distance, going into the pit lane, Hellfire maintains the pack, and now Iceman, who's got 3-second time penalty under safety car. You don't see that quite often. As now Hellfire is getting this underway, caught Beastman napping quite a bit, as he's dropped down to pretty much outside of a second already, just on this safety car restart. Yeah, he's now outside of that second. So Hellfire, with a great restart for him, caught Beastman napping there pretty much. As Nedzo closely follows. And then followed by him is Parkster, who follows him. And then Iceman, Elbe. Because now Nedzo parks it on the apex. So Beastman and Alexter look to have damage there. What was Nedzo doing? Why did he park it on the apex? I guess he was defending a move, but that was a bit of a risky, a bit of a potentially dirty way of defending there. But I guess the FIA, the stewards, will have a look at that one after the race is finished. They'll have a lot to look at once this race is finished, as a lot has happened in this Mexican Grand Prix. Hellfire sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:17.1, as he's now 4 seconds ahead Nedzo in P2. Yes, Parkster, unfortunately for him, has got wing damage, dropping him to the back of the grid now, back of the field. As it stands in P6, he has had quite the miserable race, unfortunately. But we'll see what he can do, as I don't believe that was the last pit stop. As Beastman, crucially now, gets another 3-second with a time penalty. But Elbe has made the move now on Beastman. As it doesn't look like Beastman has got damage. Nor does Iceman. None of the Williams have damage. But yeah, the only person to get damage off of that slight incident was Parkster. Unfortunately for him, not involved at all in that battle, really, as he was a bit further back in the pack. That was very unfortunate for him, as now there is pretty much a DRS train from Nedzo all the way back to Beastman, as the two Williams have now swapped places. Maybe they believe that Iceman is currently the quicker of the two, as they look to kind of wave to each other while swerving. But Iceman, he's outside that 1 second gap to Elbe. Can he inch his way back in? Yes, he can. But at the expense of his teammate, who's now dropped out past a second of the DRS zone. He might not have front wing damage, but does he have damage to the underfloor of his car or something? Because that Williams is looking very slow. As we know, Beastman does have the pace in himself, but does that car have any damage to it whatsoever to be costing him? Because it looks like that car is going slower than normal. But as we focus back to this three-way battle for second now, as Hellfire's gone and rode into the distance, starting from P7. What a race he's had. Now 6.5 seconds ahead of everyone else. Now as Elbe looks to try and switch back on Nedzo there for P2. Nothing doing there though. As he looks to move down the inside, chooses not to go for it. Probably a good choice, as he can get DRS going into this little straight for here, going into sector 3. As now he does look for the move, and he does go down the inside. He's not quite far enough down the inside to make it stick, as he looks briefly around the outside, but he chooses to stay behind, having his big DRS advantage, as Nezo moves all the way over to the right, trying to break that slipstream. But Iceman has got a very good run on Elbe here. Can he go for the move? He looks for it, but nothing doing there, as he just doesn't seem to have the battery. They're all on similar battery, apart from Beastman, who's really charged his battery after 80% now, as he's looking to claw his way back into this DRS train. As Elbe now gets another 3-second time penalty, putting him up into as Elbe goes off. Elbe has gone wide. He goes off and he drops down to last. He drops on the P6. What happened to him there? Didn't quite catch that. But he just goes wide, just misses the corner. He's now last after that. After him collecting the penalty. Maybe it was a bit of anger after receiving the time penalties. Now he comes into the pits. Slows it right down to make sure he doesn't get 10 seconds with a time penalty. As now the two Williams have swapped again. As Hellfire also comes into the pits for a fresh set of soft compound tyres. Will they be able to last him 12 laps? Because, as we know, in this game the tyre wear is considerably worse for distance and for tyre life. So can he manage to make those soft compound tyres last till the end of the race? For his sake, hopefully. But if not, it will be very interesting to see where he ends up as he set a purple second 2 now. He's flying on those soft compound tyres. As although he pits, he's within 3 seconds already of that pretty much DRS train. Or not much of a train anymore. As Iceman has fallen outside the DRS of Beastman, who doesn't have DRS on Nedzo either. And now Parkson's got the DRS on Iceman though. Can he go for a move down into turn 1? Not quite, he's a bit too far back on this occasion. As we go on board with him here. He gets a good exit, he gets similar exit to Iceman, but he's got that slipstream and the DRS. Iceman covering off that inside. As Boxer looks to go round the outside, as there a little bit of wheel banging, but he does make the move stick. But Iceman switches back, goes down the inside of, they both touch. They've both touched. And that's allowed Hellfire to just sneak past. And that's very lucky for Hellfire there to be right on the back of both of them, making up 2 quick positions on those very fast soft compound tyres. Can he get within the DRS range of Beastman? It looks like he can for this long DRS zone. Going into the main straight. He's going through the detection point. He is within a second, so he will get DRS going on to this main straight. As now Iceman is 9/10, but he still gets DRS. As now Hellfire has got the move done on Beastman to move up into P2, as Elbridge is going very slowly back here. The end of sector 2, start of sector 3. He's managed to get going again. As he doesn't pit me. Doesn't have damage, so he doesn't pit. As now Hellfire is he's flying. He's within the DRS range of Nedzo as well. As now he's made the move done before the DRS zone. Shoves Nedzo a bit wide there though. As Nedzo does get DRS though. As he's deploying his battery to try and get back into that 1 second of Hellfire. But he can't manage to do that, as now Beastman is now right behind Nedzo and within the DRS of him. I think going a bit wide there, being forced off a little bit by Hellfire, has thrown Nedzo back in to the clutches of Beastman. Now Beastman is right behind Nedzo, within 5/10. Going to second DRS straight, but he won't be able to make a move. Going through here into turn 4. He's just a little bit too far back. As now Iceman has pit for fresh set of medium tyres with 9 laps to go. Was that a smart decision? Will either he'll have to catch up to the rest of the pack, or will the rest of the pack pit for new set of tyres, as he looks to be a bit laggy there, unfortunately for him, setting him back quite a bit. But now Beastman is right on the tail of Nedzo in P2. He deploys all of his battery, and so is Nedzo, both deploying. They both got a lot of battery to deploy, as well as Beastman goes down the inside, but as his contact, as Nedzo tries to keep it going around the outside, but nothing really doing. As now Beastman, does he get damage? Yes, Beastman has caused Beastman to get damage. He's still looking to go round the outside of Nedzo, and is that rain? That looks like to be rain on the onboard camera with Beastman. Here is rain. The later laps of this Mexico Grand Prix, that will spice things up a lot. How is the grip looking? What do the pack do? As maybe it wasn't the correct choice for Iceman to put on those mediums, as now it's starting to come to rain. As we'll see what Hellfire does. Does he pit for Inters? No, he doesn't. Hellfire carries on, as now Parkster has overtaken Beastman. Beastman with that damage is forcing him back quite a way, as none of them still pit, but Parkster has gone off. He's had a big snap on the exit of the last corner, and that's very unfortunate for him. He had the big snap, almost going into the wall there, as it looks like there's not much grip around this track now. But everyone's still carrying on. But it is coming to rain now. He's in the latter stages of this Grand Prix. But the three-way battle for second still goes on. Nedzo followed by Parkster, then by Beastman. As Nedzo looking to be very slow, as Parkster looks down the inside but doesn't go for it there on that occasion. As contact is made, but was that damage already there, or is that new damage on the wing for Parkster? I don't quite know. Now Hellfire stays out. He doesn't decide to pit for intermediates, but Elbe does. Elbe has pit for inters. So the split strategy, who will be quicker? It looks like those inters aren't as quick as the slicks though yet. Maybe the crossover point is soon. It looks raining to be the rain looks to be getting worse and worse on the onboard, but it doesn't seem to be raining at all on the broadcast camera. Well, obviously it is raining, as shown from the onboard, as the clouds do look pretty grey as well. Oh no, what a battle this is turning out to be. As Iceman is slowly but surely catching, as Nedzo has been forced off. I think there was contact between Parkster and Nedzo. Did Parkster rear end Nedzo, or was Nedzo going a bit too slowly through that corner? I guess that's another thing for the stewards to note, as now Parkster goes down the outside, but he does go very deep. As now Nedzo gets a switchback done, whereas Parkster goes down the inside again in this final corner, as he gets the move stick And he also gets the DRS, but Nedzo does get the good slipstream, and he does have more battery. So will he look to go for a move around the outside? Yes, he does. He goes round the outside. Can he make it stick down the inside? Yes, he can, but it's still side by side, as Nedzo's now been forced off on the exit. But Parkster keeps that P1 for now, as Nedzo goes down the outside, but there's nowhere to go, as they both are now off the track, as Beastman tries to go round the outside of Nedzo, but Nedzo comes back on just in time to keep the place there, to keep the last podium position, as that's allowed Iceman to catch right back up. Not fully, but he was 15 seconds at this point last lap. He's gained about 7 seconds on the 3 in front, battling for second. That's now Hellfire. He's boxed. He's come into the pits, as he can do, as he's well over the pit margin, I believe. He's about 20 seconds. As now Hellfire pits for those inters. Parkster stays out, Nedzo pits, and Beastman also stays out. And now, Parkster has got the run, and he's going round the outside for the lead of this race. But can he keep it? Not quite. Hellfire has kept his P1, as it looks like those inters are the better tyre now. As Parkster doesn't have much grip on those hard compound tyres. They're not looking too bad, but they're not looking as good as those inters. I think the inters are now starting to just get better than the soft or any dry compound tyre for this matter. As yeah, look at the lack of grip Beastman has going through that section there. As it looks like Hellfire got all the grip in the world on these inters. I think Parkster and Beastman will have to box to cover off, but they don't. Beastman box to cover off Nedzo, but Parkster doesn't, as Parkster, while Hellfire pits again for another set of intermediates. What is he doing? I don't know what he's decided to do there, but Parkster is now in the lead of this race on hard compound tyres, as he's got himself another 6 seconds worth of time penalty. Nedzo is third. He's done the undercut on Beastman there. He's now 2 seconds ahead of Beastman. There's now Iceman is only 4 seconds behind Beastman. Can he try and claw his way back into the fight here? As I can't believe Parkster is staying out on those hard compound tyres. Look how treacherous it is out there. He's pretty much crawling his way through the corners, and he had to really slow down there. He's got no grip. He's on ice skates in the wet here on those hard compound tyres. As he crawls his way, does he pit? No, he stays out yet again. He still stays out. He decides to stay out with 3 laps left to go, as we just started lap 34 of 36. Although Beastman has called right up to the back of Nedzo, as DRS is now disabled. The weather is too bad for DRS, so Beastman won't get it on this occasion. Although he is inside the zone, they've disabled it, so he's not allowed to open that rear wing. It was unfortunate for him there. He does get good couple corners on Nedzo there. He's gained a little bit of time. He's now right at the back of Nedzo now. He's inside 4/10 now. As Hellfire on those inters has called right up to Parkster and P1, who is still on those hard combat tires, and he goes wide. He's gone wide. As Hellfire made that position quite easy looking. As Parkster just has no grip. Absolutely no grip on those hard compound tires, but he still decides to stay out. I guess he's relying on Nedzo and Beastman to battle so they don't catch up to him. Quite enough anyway. As Beastman would have to overtake him on track because they have the same amount of time penalties does Parkster and Beastman, but Nedzo has none. So now we're gonna look on board with Parkster. Look how difficult it is on those hard compound tires. Those hard compound tires are also 18 laps old, so not only are they the dry compound tires in the wet, but they're also 18 laps old. We just got to last one more lap. Has he gone wide again? He's about 2 seconds ahead of Nedzo, as Nedzo has 0 seconds with a time penalty and Parkster has 6. So as long as he can keep that gap, he will get that McLaren to stay in P2. But now it's 5/10 to braking within the 6 seconds. Time penalty. Look at the exit. He's all over the place on the exit. As now Nedzo and Beastman have breached it, but Beastman has to overtake Parkster on track because they've got the same amount of time penalty. But Nedzo on the other hand, as Parkster's really struggling now, as Beastman might overtake him on track, you know, as they've really gained on Parkster now, as he's pretty much crawling his way through this section, as Elbury's DNF'd on the main straight. He's crashed out on this final lap, as they can see Parkster right there, as Beastman be looking to get the move done on Parkster, but can he get it? This will be close as Parkster's gone wide. Can Beastman get the place? No, he can't. But Nedzo will. As Parkster now drops down to P3 as they come across the line. As now Iceman also comes across the line. So, yet again, another dominant performance from Hellfire. P1 by an absolute massive margin to Nedzo in P2, who has got in front of Parkster based off of penalties, which is quite unfortunate for Parkster there. But well done to him for keeping it together on those hard compound tyres for those last, say, 5 laps of the Grand Prix. That takes a lot of skill to do, as he was the only one on dry compound tyres coming to the end of that Grand Prix, as they now celebrate on the podium. What a win for Hellfire, and what a podium for Boxer as well. Managing to keep the podium, although being dropped down to last multiple times in the race, and finishing the race in the wet conditions on dry tyres. Well done to him there. As yeah, that was it for this round, as Hellfire takes another win to the start of the season, as Nezo is highest race result, I believe, in P2, followed by Parksor in P3. Beastman just behind, unfortunately, couldn't overtake Parksor on a final lap in P4. And then Iceman rounding out the grid, the final one to come across the line and finish this Grand Prix. Still good paying points though in P5, 10 points. That is good for Williams, as Albert and Alex are both DNF. But that was it. I've been your host, Luca, for the PVYZ Racing League around Mexico. What a race that was. And I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.